But in terms of when I grew up, this is where the big shift happened. So this felt like a reboot for me.
Yeah.
When GoldenEye came around.
Yeah.
So
well, it did for most people, but just because of the length of time, because it was 7 years.
Yeah.
7-year wait for the next Bond movie. Was it 6?
89
it was
to 95. Yeah.
But which felt like a long time back then.
At that time as well, that was the difference between me being 5 and 11. So it was like half my life had gone by without.
It was the difference between being 47 and 52.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So GoldenEye came around and I was like, oh, this is this old defunct thing. What happened years ago? And I used to think it happened before I was born. It didn't. But, I was born around, I think it would have been. I would have been a was I an octopusy baby or was I a?
Come on, Brad. What's 1984?
Well, 84. Well, that was between.
I think it was a
it was between. Yeah, Octopussy was 83. View to Kill was 85.
Okay, so it was an octopus.
Yeah.
But
I think you'll find.
I think you'll find.
1983.
But yeah, so but GoldenEye was the first one when I was like, and I kind of went, Bond, boring. But I was all into my Supermans and stuff at the time, and then I think I ended up watching it with my dad on tape, and I was like, this is amazing.
The thing with me is that GoldenEye came out the year after what I still consider to be the greatest action movie of all time happened, which was True Lies, and to me it's like thumbs up from Richard there, and for me it's like Bond's not gonna even come close to that.
It's
and
interesting you said
doesn't,
but
it really does. It really did. It did really well.
It's very cinematic, like it's explosive, and it's like. They were. I think I heard that he had something like 86 kills or something. And
Brosnan is, I think, still has the record for killing the most number of people. But it's interesting you say that because you're coming into an era where it's like action cinema. Look, there had been parody.
Yeah.
But then action cinema had started to happen that lent into a lot of the tropes, probably without even realizing it. And then you got something like True Lies, which really was a Bond spoof. And it's interesting, like you say, that happens before the Brosnan era, because the Brosnan era straddles stuff like that, Austin Powers, all these things that sort of lambasting the bygone era of Bond, while the Brosnan era is trying to sort of rekindle it. And I think successfully so, but I think it went way too far. I think it sort of weirdly started leaning into parody, which is like
in the later the later ones,
But
GoldenEye is solid. I don't rate it that high.
Okay.
It's a solid, but it's solid. It is an example of a movie actually being let down by its score. The score is
well, that's what people point to.
Awful.
It's
awful.
Yeah.
I
would say it has awful moments, but I think it's not awful overall. It's just I think give me a David Arnold score.
Well, but then but it's I like it. Sean Bean is great. Brosnan is great. It's a great debut as Bond, and it's a solid film. I liked a lot of the stuff in it.
Is this the one with Terry
Notcher? No. That's the next one. Yeah. It's the one with Sean Bean, and Sean Bean comes back.
And I like that he dies and then he doesn't die, because
dies
that's
twice.
very Sean Bean, isn't it? That's his thing.
Well, Sean Bean dies 3 times in this movie. He dies.
It's like
apparently
his friend,
yeah.
Well, the arc, and there's a subtle arc for James Bond in it, which is quite clever, because obviously at the start of it's bookended with For England, James, and at the start it's For England, James, For England, Ali, and because at the end it's For England, James. It's like no, for me, yeah. And that's the whole thing of like James Bond isn't, bear in mind there's that huge 9-year jump between the opening and the but the point is Bond's gone on this like, no, I'm doing this for me now. Fuck you, don't betray me, because I'm not.
No, exactly.
That fight between them in the antenna array at the end is insanely brutal.
Yeah, it's very brutal.
It doesn't get enough credit, but it's like that. It's so well cool.
I think that's where I was really enjoying it. Was that stuff that I felt that the ending was quite well done, cathartic, and it was brutal, and that's where I was like, this is holding its own to modern action cinema, and it did well. So I came out of GoldenEye. I thought, no, it was good. I didn't love it, but I thought it was good.
Disappointed.
No.
I actually feel like Pierce Brosnan is a mixture of Roger Moore and
Connery.
People say that a lot. They go like, "Oh, he's a kind of jack of all, master of none."
Like,
I don't agree. I think he did put his own stamp on it.
I do think he does have his own stamp, but I think if you're looking throughout, because everybody sort of
those that like one or the other will find what they like in them in him.
It was Connery or Moore.
Yeah,
Dalton and Lazenby were kind of
they were out of the equation.
Yeah.
Wrongly so.
He'd have to be my third favorite Bond.
But this is interesting because now we're coming into your era of Bond, and then you're rewatching it after seeing all the others.
Well, funny enough, Pierce Brosnan, because he also did the Thomas Crown affair, didn't he?
Which I love.
When I watched that, I turned to my friends and I was like, "Why is James Bond stealing a painting?" And they're like, "This isn't Bond." I was like, "Oh." So that's how much he affected me as Bond. I just saw him as Bond.
He very much, I mean, again, I think it's coming of age at a certain time, but it was very much like his face was everywhere as James Bond, and he became like a real. And I'm sure the same is true for people younger than us.
He did so well with like doing the watches, didn't he? Like
this watch, in fact, that was that.
There we go.
Get a shot, Richard, of the watches.
Yeah, okay. Rich has been drinking. Anyway, but that's that really that saved Omega.
DOP is for business.
Yeah. If I can take it out of the. There you go. That's the GoldenEye watch. So
Casio.
Yeah, look at this. And I remember the ad, and he was like his wrist was like this.
Well, he did that. I mean that watch basically they switched to an automatic version, but it looks exactly the same. But they switched to that through all his tenure, so that was very much.
Beautiful watch.
Yeah. So that was the Bond watch, and it became iconic. It became sort of just part of his uniform, much like the Walther and everything. But so much so that in the next film, so Tomorrow Never Dies marks a big thing for me because it's the first one I saw in the cinema. First thing I was 13 when it came out. It was like a massive awakening for me going and seeing that film. And not only it is one of those films like with things like Superman the movie, and it's one of those films that what made me want to be in filmmaking because I just remember it feeling like this harmonious mixture of the visuals, the acting, the pacing, the editing, and the score.
Great.
I think it's
Arnold's score
best paced.
The
score is one of the best scores, and there's the thing. It is not regarded that high.
I don't get that.
And for me, it is easily, by far and away, by a matter of miles, the best Pierce Brosnan James Bond movie. Yeah. For me, it is not. The others don't. GoldenEye is the next, and to me, it's leagues ahead of it. And I don't understand why people don't get it. I think it's slick as hell.
Yeah.
The opening pre-credit sequence is just the stuff of cinematic bliss.
Yes.
It is, and if you want to see, and a movie that is going to hold its own in the modern era of action movie, Tomorrow Never Dies does it easily, and it's got it's
I have questions.
Hello.
Yes, at the back.
I haven't been paying attention all year. This is the one with
Terry Hatcher?
Yeah, Harry Hatcher.
Have
Michelle
Halle Berry?
No.
What was that one?
No, that's Dine Another Day. We'll get to that in a minute.
So that's
okay.
Yeah.
This is Michelle Yeoh.
So yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm with you. She has that great shooter up scene on the motorcycle.
The motorcycle sequence is phenomenal.
He's handcuffed, and then she's like boofing. Yeah.
But the best action scene in it is when he's in the back of the car in the car park.
So the vehicle chase stuff. What they were good at is giving them a strange handicap.
I get so confused.
So the car chases him like he's driving it from his phone in the back seat.
Yeah,
I like on the motorbike they're handcuffed together.
Yeah, I liked that.
There's always something that means it's not quite what you think.
Do you know what was great though? The expression when they are in the car garage or whatever, and
Brent Cross,
and
that's where it was.
Well, I loved the expressions on everybody's faces, like what's going on.
Yeah, there's those moments where, like the moment with the guy with the rocket launcher and he fires at him and he goes through and it's just like
what the hell? Okay, that happened.
All these moments
but the best moment is when Pierce Brosnan takes him over the tire bursters.
Yeah.
And then he's tires inflate, and he just cuts to him laughing.
It's because it's a feature he didn't know.
Yeah. It's like ah.
Yeah. No, it's I love all that. I love the. It's the last time we saw Bond in naval uniform.
Yes.
I know it's a small thing, but
no. I said that.
Seems to be a thing.
I said
Brad
that.
I
said
love
that.
the penny whistle stuff. That score at the moment was like do 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 do
Yep.
do 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 do, and he like that's so well done.
Yep.
Apone from Aliens is in it as well.
No, yep, absolutely.
And just little things like him and Wade. Wade is obviously a sort of surrogate or a stand-in for Leiter. At this point, technically, Leiter's been disabled. So you've kind of got. It's just those little things. You're standing there in a Hawaiian shirt.
And he just looks at him and just says, like that.
In
his commander naval uniform.
He's
just like.
We should also give a mention to Judi Dench as well, because
we didn't. Yeah, why didn't we?
Do you know what
The best M.
Yeah, she for me, I like her as M with the Brosnans.
In the Brosnan stuff, I'm not that keen. Less fan in the Craig.
I think in the Craig she becomes just a grumpy.
Yeah, I don't like how she was written.
It's a bit more one.
I love the way she holds her own in the and there's the whole sexist misogynist dinosaur speech at the beginning of Goldeneye, but she's actually.
Which everyone references, but then they don't quite.
No, they don't quite get it.
But
the best line she has is in Tomorrow Never Dies, where sometimes don't think you have the balls for this job. The advantage is I don't have to think with them all the time.
Because
it's great.
It's actually better relationship with her and Jeffrey.
Palmer.
Yes. Thank you, Richard.
Not to be confused with Don.
Definitely not.
Because that relationship is more her versus an idea of Bond.
Yes.
Yeah.
Whereas, because in GoldenEye, the point is she goes, good, because I think that they are getting each other wrong at that point.
Yes.
Is the point of it.
Exactly.
She goes, you think I'm a bean counter, more interested in my numbers than your instincts, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, thought it occurred to me. And she's like, good, because I think you're a sexist, misogynist dinosaur. But at the end of it, she goes, come back alive.
Yeah.
You know, so they
like
learn
that.
to respect each other.
No, exactly. Yeah.
Is the point. They learn to go and compromise. So come Tomorrow Never Dies, she's standing up for him.
She's totally standing
right
up
at the
for
start,
him.
she's going like, his
Yeah.
job.
What's he doing? His job.
What's he doing?
Yeah. I must protest. My man hasn't left. You know, and all
she's
that.
always behind him all
she's
the way.
on his
Yeah, I
side
like
totally.
that.
Yeah.
And they've both learned to respect each other.
Yeah.
That's the point, you know.
Yeah.
So it's
And I like how she can hold her own in like a room full of just men.
of dudes.
Yeah.
Who think they
it's
know
all
best.
war room scenario.
Yeah.
And all the men want to do is go fire all the guns. And right at the start, it's like they shoot that missile, and it's like too soon. It's like those are nuclear whatever torpedoes, and that's such a great.
Which goes, I must
setup.
protest. My man hasn't finished yet.
Yeah.
But
And then it's like
has
the score just
Bloody
like,
hell.
oh,
Yeah.
and
The score is so good. The score of the opening sequence is one of the best
And that's
action.
a repeat trick as well of the lighter. And then because he does it later on in Saigon where he hasn't got anything.
Yeah.
I love all that stuff. The score.
Yeah.
I could. I'm not gonna, but I could probably sing you the score because it's just so good.
That surrender theme is so good.
Well, that's K.D. Lang Surrender, which was written by David Arnold to be the song. I think.
Yep.
And then obviously they got Sheryl Crow to do the Sheryl Crow one.
It's okay.
Yeah,
it's alright.
It is of its time.
But the surrender, it is very 90s.
But
Surrender is so much better.
And it's woven into the score.
And it's part of the score.
I would say Surrender is more Bond.
It's bombastic. And
I remember when you heard that, you were like, oh my god, this is a proper Bond song.
Yeah, this is proper Bond. But then, Sheryl Crow was definitely of its time.
But I like, Jonathan Pryce, I think he's great.
Love
He's
Jonathan
a great
Pryce.
Bond villain. And I love Tomorrow Never Dies. He's by far the best Pierce Brosnan. One of my favourite Bond movies. I love it.
I think as well, it's become prescient. People have referred to it now because they go like, "Oh, news used as a weapon."
Yeah,
you know, it's like.
Mm-hmm.
So 100%. There's so much more we could cover on that film, but let's move on.
Yep.
The World Is Not Enough.
One of the dullest.
Yeah.
One of the dullest.
So I found out recently this was shot multicam, which explains an awful lot because it does look very television.
It's terribly edited.
It's very nuts and bolts. So it's frustrating because I think it's got one of the best Bond villains in it. I think Electra King is fantastic. I think Sophie Marceau is amazing, but it's just a very nuts and bolts.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't.
Admittedly, I fell asleep. So I know, like Halle Berry comes out of the water.
That's done.
No, we're not there yet.
Next one.
We're not there yet. See, you can't even remember this one. It's so dull.
This is it. I did fall asleep.
So this is the whole kind of oil.
With what's his name?
How many did you do?
4.
Oh, for some reason.
Yeah, so this is the
thought he
third
did
one.
3.
So, but the thing, I remember going to cinema watches, and I was so jazzed because Tomorrow Never Dies. I loved it so much. And then everyone and when you got the opening, the pre-credit sequence, which is going down the Thames on that boat thing, which admittedly does some cool little things of thing. But I think that sequence is really, really lethargically paced, really lethargically edited, and everyone I went to see it with loved it because it was London. Because it's like, I know that Big Ben, I know that, And I came out, I was like, no, that was no.
I think people love the idea of it more than the actual execution.
The execution, I think, is pretty poor.
The execution is,
and I was really disappointed.
Bland.
Yeah, it's bland, and I find the whole movie pretty bland. And
White cake.
I should say this is an opportunity to talk about Samantha Bond as Moneypenny. We didn't talk about Caroline Bliss as Moneypenny, who I think is not her fault, but I think she's quite forgettable in Dalton.
Yes,
era. But Samantha Bond, who I've worked with and met, is amazing, potty mouthed, but amazing. As was I, so it's fine. No, she's wonderful. But I loved her Moneypenny because they really gave her something to give back.
No, she's
without
great.
it being unearned. It wasn't this kind of like finger clicky crap.
Yeah.
It was just like, shut up.
Yeah. She enjoyed. So she gave the banter back, but she enjoyed it.
Yeah,
and
I think they squander it. I die another day, but I do. Especially in Tomorrow Never Dies, it's like, don't ask. It's like, don't tell.
Yeah.
It's that. It's the whole kind of like.
Yeah.
Yeah. She has so
you
much
always
class
were cunning
and
English.
agency and it was like, you'll just have to decide how much pumping is needed. James. Only that were true of you and I, Moneypenny. She just the thing just goes up. She's like, fuck off. I just think she's great, and she's great in this as well. She's great in The World Does Not Love. I mean, I don't think anyone does anything wrong in The World.
No. Everyone's fine. Everyone's fine. In fact, the film is fine.
But by Michael Apted's own admission, it's even things like it has the longest opening sequence only because they couldn't figure out what to do. So it's like it was originally just going to be the Bilbao sequence, and then that wasn't long enough. So it's all kind of, it's just got things where we're not quite sure how to do this. And as it goes, I think they do a good job of it. But
it's the one with what's her name as Christmas Jones.
Denise
Richards as the nuclear physicist.
Yeah,
that's I knew that. Right, you remember it?
Yeah, that flags it.
I like her function in it is to be a bit of a sort of petulant child to Bond, which I think is fine because it's the whole like, do you want to translate that to those of us who don't speak Spanish? Like, what are you talking about? She's that's where it works, but it doesn't work as like, I'm gonna defuse this nuclear bomb, and then I'll be right with you. And also, like, I love your work, Dr. Arkov, but I've no idea what you look like because apparently you're a tubby middle-aged man or James Bond. Why does no one know what he looks like? It's just stupid. But
it wasn't memorable for me. But as I said, I think I was asleep. Though I do remember Denise Richards, and I like Denise Richards.
Yeah,
I didn't believe.
No.
For a second,
she looks like Tomb Raider, so it's
And I think that's problem because I think they were going. It was like the rest of the movie is actually trying to go for a serious kind of tone, and she's like, but it's almost like, oh yeah, but she's you're not going to believe her as a physicist, but that's the point, isn't it? It's like, but not in this movie. This is a wrong movie for that, right?
When it ends on the Christmas only comes once a year. Bit on the nose.
Yeah. So there
we are.
Yeah.
So then,
They'll die another day.
Another day.
Derided.
With the best Bond song of all time.
And then this one was Halle Berry, right?
This was the Halle Berry one.
Finally let loose on Halle Berry.
Yes,
and
with the
CGI
CGI playing at the end.
He does his bird comment.
Yeah, so this was the 40th anniversary. They were desperate to put in as many references to the old films as they could, which is why you've got all the like. Obviously, we should say that Desmond Llewellyn died between World Is Not Enough and Die Another Day in a car crash.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awful.
But sort of hands over to he was kind of handing over to John Cleese anyway, and it's
awful.
Yeah. So, but it's kind of
that last shot of him going out, always have an escape plan, and he goes down. That's his, and he died. In a car crash. Not even of old age.
Not long after.
Not long after.
Premiere,
yeah.
Oh, that's awful. Oh, I don't like that.
Yeah. So, I mean, you were in a place where it was kind of like they were desperate to reference all the old stuff. There were countless references to older Bond films. There's even ones that people don't. There's just even in dialogue and everything is just crammed there's the one bit that no one ever he goes people call me James Bond. That's from Russia with Love, from the famous Tatiana Romanova.
Yep.
Everything is just fucking referencing it all the time, and it just feels like a sort of parts bin of James Bond films with stupid crap like kite surfing a tsunami,
which is so one of the worst effects. In all of Bond,
and the invisible car is the invisible car is not as egregious, I think, as people say. If you can have a car that turns into a submarine.
Yeah, no, the invisible car that's not what bothers me. It's the windsurfing stuff that bothers me, and it's everything else that bothers me. And the actual problem, one of my things that I really hate about it is that I actually think it starts really well, and I actually think that when he goes rogue again, but in an interesting way, the prisoner exchange stuff, all that stuff, I actually was like, oh my god, this is good. This is a great setup.
You can mark it by it, and it's not her fault, really, but it's when Halle Berry turns up, then it all falls apart for me. And it's not because of her, but it's like
But it's because that's when the movie just becomes this, and it just gets dumber and dumber and dumber. I remember you saying that, like sort of halfway through the movie, you're like going, this is getting worse and worse. I'm like, you wait.
You get my brain just
She tunes out.
Like, I'm out of here.
Yeah,
it's look, it's
brilliant. The sword fight scene is brilliant.
Yeah,
the sword fight, it's
I like that.
That's
a
like
really
Toby
great.
Stevens.
Yeah,
but it's and obviously now it's sort of being reappraised as being sort of problematic because you're talking about race changing people. They're not doing it because they're saying anything's better or worse. They're just doing it for disguise.
Exactly.
But I get why
Which is why I don't have a problem with You Only Live Twice, but it's a disguise.
Yeah, but it was trying to do that kind of North versus South Korea thing, which is sort of a weird thing to inject into that. But it is kind of like saying, who are the commie bastards this time? But it has an incredible opening. I like you say, the first third is wonderful. It's a lot to like about it. There is a lot to like about it. The car chase on the ice is fantastic.
Minus the speed ramps.
The editing is toilet. But it's things like there's the subversive thing of like uses the ejector seat.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. Sort of stuff. The same dudes are still working on it and coming up with these fun gags, these fun sort of little ideas. Yeah.
This is the one with the ice, isn't it?
This is the one with all the ice.
Now, I didn't understand, right, why they end up going into that sort of secluded area.
But the Ice Palace.
Yeah.
The Eden Project. There's just apparently an ice diamond.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's just odd. Like,
I remember when
he
goes.
Was odd.
Yeah, and I remember.
You're like, why would you go there? That doesn't make any sense if she's all the way over there.
Well, I remember when he goes, he jumps in the water and then pops up in that hot bath, and you were like, how's that connected? And I was like, I don't know.
It's supposed to be sort of because the Eden. Have you ever been to the Eden Project?
Yeah.
Well, I've not been there, but I know what it is.
It's nice actually.
It's great.
I quite like the Eden.
But it's kind of like one of those like they just built it at the time, and they were like, let's feature this somehow, and it's like, it's his diamond mine. His diamond mine in Antarctica, wherever, like at the North Pole, where there's water underneath. How's this working? Diamonds out of the ocean. It's stupid. It's totally stupid. But it's like just a way to put that in.
I don't like. I didn't like. I remember thinking, why isn't he ever cold when he goes in that water?
Well, he has like a sort of dry suit on, and he has the rebreather from Thunderball, and all he's doing is sort of going down and coming back up.
Yeah, but I only have to step outside, and I'm chilly.
Where's James Bond? What's more egregious is that thing of like she's supposedly taking all the bullets out of his gun, but then you see him literally take it out, put it in, check the gun. And it's like, well. All right, and he's supposed to be the world's best spy, and he didn't even see that coming. Anyway, shite. And it is a sad ending for Pierce.
Pierce.
I think he had a lot more in the tank.
Yeah.
Anyway,
why didn't you do the next one?
Well, so
they decided to go in a different
lot
direction.
of stuff was going on. Well, Sony bought MGM, I think, right? So that was that was a sudden halt on things. Then there was people trying to decide what to do with it. Then they got the rights back. Kevin McClory died or was dying and basically settled, so they got the rights finally to Eon now own everything, so they own because the Spectre thing though still had stuff.
That was still a thing going on. Yeah,
Cubby would be dead by now, wouldn't he?
Cubby
oh yeah, no, he died a long time ago. Yeah,
Tomorrow Never Dies is dedicated to Cubby Brosa.
Yeah, I thought that was lovely, and I like how Barbara's kept it going.
Yeah, and his stepson.
Michael Wilson.
Really rate her.
Greg Wilson, I think, is also now coming up to take over. Who's Michael's son?
Yeah,
but there was a lot of more studio trouble. And I don't think they were ready to get rid of Pierce Brosnan. I think it wasn't like they were gonna, but he was out of contract at that point, and I think they just saw it as an opportunity to start something else.
I think he wanted to carry on.
Yeah, well, so he had met with Tarantino apparently. Yeah. To talk about
Casino Royale.
Doing Casino Royale, because the rights had come up in a way that meant someone else could do it. And Brosnan actually had spoken to McClory before GoldenEye. He had talked about trying to make a Thunderball.
All right.
Like another Thunderball thing. Yeah, so there's a lot of and that went around for a long time in the 90s and early 2000s. So far as I think getting beyond Brosnan's tenure officially was they were talking about this Warhead 2000, which was especially going to be Thunderball again. So they were still trying to do this. Sony I think wanted to do it for a long time and have a rival series. Anyway, let's get through this because Rich is sighing and getting fed up with Bond talk. It's Daniel Craig. This is obviously we're getting into the kind of, this is a totally different.
Loved his first one.
Yeah. So Casino Royale, they got the rights to do Casino Royale. Casino Royale, I've read the novel. The film is better than the book. Let's be honest, it's way more entertaining. The book essentially is the sort of second and third act of that film. If you imagine, it's basically everything in not Montenegro. Is it Montenegro? Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like that's what the book is, whereas the film obviously has all that stuff at the start and there's much more to it.
Has him chasing a free runner over cranes and shit.
Which
is so good. The action in,
and that was really highlighting.
I love Casino Royale. I think Casino Royale is fantastic. I think the action is mind-blowingly done.
You know what I'd say as well? It's the first Bond film that, like, for me, where the Bond girl has a lot more of a story to her.
You loved her, didn't you?
I really loved Vespa. I thought she was great. I liked the acting.
She's much better realised in the film.
Yeah.
The book, she's sort of a doe-eyed, like she doesn't do much at all, and at the end it turns out she was a double agent. But you find out from a Suicide Note.
There's
none of it. It's not spoilers.
I thought she had a lot of emotional intelligence about her.
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, they made Eva Green's Vespa was way more interesting.
She was fab. But I liked that. I liked how Daniel Craig was. I liked how Daniel Craig was. Because it was the start of him, really, wasn't it? The start of Bond.
It was Bond Begins.
Batman
Begins.
He's sort of reckless.
The reimagining.
And I liked Craig in that.
I thought,
I see this. This is great.
I thought he played that really well, and I thought that him kind of not being quite Bond, being a bit gruffer, but sort of getting to know the finer things and getting to know his humour and get into I think it's really
little
really
things
good.
Like he's impacted by her, like she's like, you think people dress like that because he's not dressing like James Bond.
No.
Vespa teaches him how. This is why at the end he's in a 3-piece suit. There's all that he goes on a real arc. There's a proper arc for him, and it isn't. People go, it goes back to the novel. It's like kinda, but not really.
No,
like not really. Bond's a bit of a dick in that, and to be honest, and he's a total.
Well, he's arrogant.
He's supposed to be like. Don't get me wrong. Like, look in the novels, right? Everyone goes, he's a misogynist. It's like, well, yeah, but they're not saying like he doesn't. He changes. The point is, he starts off like that, and he's changed, and it's his. He's not a perfect human being. I think people often misconstrue the idea of James Bond. Usually, people who don't watch the films of it being like a depiction equals endorsement. It's like because he's that way. Men are supposed to go out and do that.
That's what everyone thinks about everything now.
And it's like no. The whole point was he learned to be better. That he does have an arc. But I understand. He's an archetype as well, and people sort of emulate it wrongly, really. But there's that. And so this film, it was very much like he goes on and on, but it does have all of the action and the bombast. The score is again
great
another David
score.
Arnold score.
Great visuals as well.
And for me, probably the last great, really good Bond song for me.
Chris Cornell,
Chris, what a great guy.
I think it's a terrific song.
So we then move on to the first sort of properly canonical follows on sequel. Quantum of Solace, big mess, famously a big mess.
Actually, is that where you first see that he's from Scotland?
No.
You keep jumping ahead one.
That's
I don't know.
Yeah.
There's too many.
Quantum of Solace is a very forgettable one. That's the one that you can't see because the camera's too shaky.
It's the one with Bolivia and water
you literally don't know what's going on ever because there is one moment in that boat action sequence in there where I still don't know. Like he's doing something with the anchor or on the chain, and he does something, and suddenly a boat flies up in it, and I still don't know. I've watched it again and again. I'm like, I don't know what you just did.
I think the point is he throws the anchor onto the bow of the other boat. That's then
is that what he does?
Right.
Is that what he does?
I don't know.
It's gone up on the stern of his boat. So he throws the thing over it, and then I think you're supposed to imply that he's then accelerated off. It's fallen back, and because the anchor's hooked to it, it flicks.
Okay.
It's a bit.
Never got it.
It's just.
It's so. I find the action obnoxiously shot and edited.
It is, and it's often it's the editing and stuff. Quantum of Solace is a very. You'll see this certainly in terms of my appraisal of the Craig era. There are very stylish movies that I think get away with being style over substance a lot. That therefore I enjoy, but I do totally acknowledge that this is a fairly vacuous experience, and that's the problem because the promise of Casino Royale is just not.
I think this is why I like in general the Craig era. I don't rate that highly, mainly because I'm disappointed with it after Casino Royale. I thought Casino Royale is a terrific movie, a terrific Bond movie, setting him up. I think he plays it brilliantly as this kind of not quite Bond yet, and then at the end he's Bond. Yeah. And I wanted it to then become a Bond Bond movies.
And
but now
the next one's like he's not Bond yet.
No, he's not Bond yet. And then the next one is now he's too old. Now
we're still going to end with him becoming James Bond.
It was the story because it wasn't his acting was great. It was just the story.
It's not his fault. I just think they were kind of. I think it felt like they were setting up for something they hadn't actually planned out. It's the same thing with Batman Begins to the Dark Knight. The Dark Knight gets a lot of love, but it's like it's not delivering on what was set up. It really isn't, and I agree with you. I think Quantum of Solace is in spirit. It's sort of doing the whole kind of more hard hitting, more stuff, but it just feels like it's kind of treading water. Yeah. It has a lot of great things in it, and I think Jeffrey Wright, for example, is probably my favorite.
Yeah, Jeffrey Wright is great.
I think he's wonderful in both Casino Royale and that, and No Time to Die. But a sort of it's more of an addendum to Casino Royale than it is an actual film. Yeah, Skyfall comes 4 years later, so again a big hiatus.
Adele.
Adele. I really love that song. But
I like it.
I have to admit that I worked on Skyfall, so I have some degree of bias. I was there for it.
What did you do?
But basically, I was an extra. That's what it boils down to.
Okay, nobody's and there's no small roles.
There was my role. There are mine. So I got to be on Skyfall.
Second
I was one of the MI6 agents, and I was there for the
MI6.
In all the MI6.
Do you get a watch as well?
No, I did wear that. I wore some of my I snuck my watches in, and I accidentally stole a tie because I forgot to take it off when I went
could
home.
Be watching this now.
No. Well, then I actually, it's funny. One of the wardrobe people did a film I then did after that, and I brought the tie with me as an option because I was like, I quite like this tie. Oh, by the way, it's from Skyfall, and she went, I know, yeah, and she looked. The label was still on the back. I remember that. So,
property.
I was sacked because of that.
So, they cared. So I had experience of that film and the sets. So I was on some of the big, MI6 sets.
Was that Pinewood?
Yeah, that was on the 007 soundstage. I did a wee next to Sam Mendes.
That's cool.
By accident. Because it's weird. Like Pinewood there's that huge 007 soundstage. It doesn't have a toilet in it. So there's a toilet block next to the stage. And in the dead of November, I was like, let's go for a wee. So I went outside and Sam Mendes did a wee next to me.
Roger Moore used to work there.
He still has an office. I think he still has an office.
Yeah. And he even said there wasn't a toilet there. In his book, it's written. Yeah, it is literature.
Can confirm.
Yeah, Pinewood is a little light on the toilet front.
Yeah, there's a block.
You
just have to go to the toilet.
You just got to go and find it. Yeah.
So it's right next to it, but you have to go out of the station.
I think that's crazy.
But Skyfall was obviously loved by loads of people. Everyone loves it.
I love it, but I know you don't. Roger Deakins.
I like it.
It's
beautiful.
Roger Deakins shot
neon.
No,
it's beautiful. It's beautifully shot. It's wonderfully lit. It's a very well made movie, and I like it. I just don't.
It's an example
love
as well of them being restricted by budget.
Yeah,
it was lower budget than, believe it or not, than Quantum of Solace.
Really?
What was Doctor No made for?
$1 million.
And then what was this one made for?
Oh God, this is. I mean, but you can't compare them.
Why not?
Quantum was 250, I think, and this was like 220 or it was lower.
$220.
Something.
$220.
$220
million.
Well, because it's only because they filmed everything in England apart from the Turkey opening sequence. So main unit only ever filmed in Britain.
Oh.
They did do third unit stuff for like Shanghai and everything, but everything else was just done on sound stages and everything. So but I think that gives it great creativity. I know what you mean. I think Javier Bardem and all that stuff. It's like it's shown up by things like him. Oh, he just put a bomb in the train at the right moment. You know, all that stuff.
Yeah, the plan to get to M is just the most bizarrely convoluted. I mean, and this is a Bond movie. And trust me, and of course there's been more bizarre things, but it wants you to take it seriously, and I was just like, what? Hang on,
this is the example of the Craig era trying to lean back into the trope because you're getting Moneypenny and Q back and everything, and it's trying to do it in a really serious way, and it's bending credulity in a way that's like, I know what you mean. It's sort of not getting away with it everywhere, but it is. But the thing for me, look, don't get me wrong, it was 2012, it was the London Olympics, it was also the 50th anniversary film, and it's way less reverential, though there are those nods in it. And I just think it was a cultural moment as well as, you had the opening to the Olympics.
Everyone loved it. Yeah, no, it was in the zeitgeist. It was a thing.
100%.
And but I was like, it's all right. But I found M. Sorry, Judy. I found her fairly annoying in that one,
really?
And I found
she was written poorly. I
don't think she, and I think that she was.
There's like a montage of her online.
But well, it's the I think it's the honest trailers of Scott F. But I remember thinking to myself, she's causing an awful lot of problem here, and it's not.
I think when you realise that they're writing to her death, you're sort of going, she's got to be. This has to be a kind of redemption story for her in a way. Like her death has to mean, and the death is ultimately like, I did get one thing right, which is you, and it's like, but she, the point is she's cocked up.
But she didn't have to be such a dick. Really.
Well, but that's kind of the relationship. Like I love the stuff in her house.
I enjoyed, but I loved.
Just like I'm aggravated.
What saved Skyfall for me is the very, very end when Ralph Fiennes is now M, and the reveal of Moneypenny and the leather door. When I saw the leather door, I was like,
saved that
leather door saved that movie for me. I came out happy because of the leather door.
I don't like the thing like she left the bulldog to her in her will. It's like, when did she have the time to rewrite her will between when he's the bulldog and the end when she died? She didn't know she was going to die. Like, anyway. And Javier Bardem. I mean, it annoys me that we get retconned like, oh, he was part of Spectre, was he? Because he's all like rogue and living on an island and stuff. It's like,
well, you're talking about Spectre.
Let's move on.
To you did see the last one, but you haven't seen Spectre. No.
Okay, so Spectre. I think Spectre. Look, so it gets a lot of kicking, Spectre, and we'll get into why. But for me, it's a very stylish film. You're right, Richard.
I just dramatically hit the chair.
Okay. Sorry, mate. We're nearly done.
He's kicked over the chairs, and he's like,
yeah, it's all good. As long as you. But so Spectre for me, I love the style of Spectre. I love the wardrobe. I love the look of it. Hoyt van Hoytema was the DOP on this one. Went back to shooting on film. Not that I think it really matters. But you've got Sam Mendes back, Thomas Newman back for the score. I will say this, Thomas Newman, I love my David Arnold. David Arnold's probably my MVP as far as the most of the modern stuff.
Yeah, no,
but
without doubt.
I think Thomas Newman does do a good job.
He does
himself, but I think he does a good job with those two films. But Spectre,
it's a little generic, but
I get that. I totally get that. But I do think like Spectre, I like as an aesthetic thing. I love the sort of world of it.
I agree.
I
like
yes,
story. I was with it. I think the filmmaking is really good, and I'm with it until it reveals its hand, and then you're like,
that's the thing.
That's what we were
because
leading up to.
Blofeld is sort of Franz Oberhauser because it's doing that Star Trek Into Darkness thing. And everyone was like, you don't cast Christoph Waltz as not Blofeld in a film called Spectre. I'm sorry. But the whole he's revealed at that table, the Spectre meeting. It's all very mysterious. It's all shrouded in darkness. It's really well done.
Yep.
But like you say, then it's like, I'm your brother.
I'm your
James.
brother,
Like,
and I've been doing it all.
Yeah,
it's all been me.
Yeah,
and it's just like,
why though? So
I don't get that, and I don't like it.
No, it's a shame, and it's a waste.
I don't want to like it.
It's a waste of Waltz.
Yeah, it is a waste of Waltz. There, that's what it. That's
well,
what it should be called.
Somebody likes it out there.
I have been in his helicopter.
As you do.
I did a Jaguar advert, and I doubled for Tom Hiddleston, which I would never normally do doubling work, but the gig was I got to fly in a helicopter and chase a car down a runway with a door.
Yeah,
open,
which is like, so that the gig is that. And by the way, you're doubling for
like,
that's just yeah.
It was directed by Toby Hooper.
Toby Hooper.
Yeah, of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Your friend of mine,
Tom Hooper.
Tom Hooper.
Yeah, who told me I had to shave for it, which I wasn't very happy about.
love him a lot.
He doesn't.
Shout out,
So
Tom.
yeah, but that helicopter is the same tail one as the one Blofeld's in that gets shot down at the end. Anyway, yeah, it's a very unsatisfying ending. It was rewritten because of the Sony hacks, so they wasn't supposed to. It was. I think they were trying to go for more of an On Her Majesty's Secret Service ending, which would have been way more forced because the Madeleine Swan of it all is way forced.
Yeah,
it's very much like but she's sort of like Vesper or whatever. Shut up.
Yeah.
I love the train fight. I love Hinks. I love all the stuff leading up. It's just the reveal that's the problem for me. It's the whole kind of like, it was all me all along.
Yeah.
And it's the fact that they get one of the rings and they just put it on a thing and it goes, Le Chiffre. All the cool people apart from Dominic Green. All the ones from the good films. It's like, they're all connected. It's like, why?
But it's, I think, and there are plenty of movies out there that have disappointing endings, but you still, but this really, to me, it makes the movie completely turgid and pointless and I wish it didn't exist.
That's quite funny.
So, and that's the problem, is it is well-made movie up until that, and then I'm just like, and I think it's more insulting because it's Bond. Because I wanted my Bond to be back to be normal Bond. Stop this interconnecting.
Well, they're just so excited to have Spectre back.
Because we were talking about this earlier, but how I love Bond. What I love about Bond is you can pick and choose your own canon. You can pick and choose out of all these Bond movies which one was actually connected with. And you don't even have to thinking it consciously. You just sort of accept it. Yeah, some of this happened in the same universe, some of this didn't, So and I love that, and that's what I love about it. And whereas with the Daniel Craig stuff, you are forced that this is a continuing story.
But maybe it's because
it's not a very good continuing story.
But maybe it's because they've just got too much money. So they're like, let's complicate things because we can.
I think, so I think the Craig
overindulgence.
The Craig era suffers from that escalation of budget.
Yeah.
So, one of the reasons why you start getting films every 5 years, it's not pandemics. It's the fact that you're going to spend $300 million, and you've got to get Ralph Fiennes, Naomi Harris, Ben Whishaw, all these massive names. You can't cast unknowns. You have to cast huge names.
I don't like that.
Which is not what Bond was, right?
No, exactly.
But you have to get these huge names, and it's like, well, their schedules won't allow you to do this for another 4 or 5 years. So you've sat there waiting for this to go on, and it's like, I don't think that's what Bond needs. I don't think you need Oscar-winning. It's great. Don't get me wrong. Javier Bardem.
No, I'm sorry, but it takes me out of the story when I see somebody too well known.
Well, but it was also the thing that the well-known person was often the Bond villain. Yeah, that was your guest star.
Yeah.
Not everyone. Everyone else was just the regulars.
Yeah,
and then you'd have your guest star come in.
Yeah,
and who was either someone everyone knew or someone that had been nominated for an Oscar 10 years ago. So they're still regarded. That sort of thing.
Yeah.
And and
I'm happy for Bond to be like a name, but I just think everybody else just needs.
Well, Bond should be a name because he's Bond, not because he already was a name.
The thing is you're not going to entice me with a film with a name. I won't go because of a name. I'll go because the story is good.
Well, a lot of people won't now.
but they're silly people because Like
No, I'm agreeing with you. A lot of people don't go because of names anymore.
I don't think they care about
the star power is not there.
Like for me, it's all about the story. It's storytelling. I don't care what race or gender or sexual preference, which seems to be a thing these days. I don't care about any of that. I just care about a really decent story.
Cut to bars. Yeah, no, I agree with you. No, I do. So it's
and that's it. Like, you want to give me the next Bond, you want to blow me away with the next Bond. Cut back the budget, cut back the bullshit, and give me That's exactly some good storytelling.
I agree. I think you can legitimately make a sort of $70 to $80 million
absolutely
film.
Give us that, and we'll make you a cracking Bond movie.
But they won't.
You don't need all the glitz and glam.
They've forgotten how to make movies.
It's
like
all
that
the endorsements and all that. That's there's too much money involved. Anyway,
it's mad.
Let's move on.
Next one, Bond died. Great. Okay, that's it. Yeah.
Okay, firstly, I did see this one. I saw this.
You did see this one,
on a plane going back
No Time to
Die.
Again, this feels tacked on to me because I think Spectre was sort of ended in a way that was supposed to imply kind of that's it, but not really. But I don't know.
I liked Remy Malek. He was fun.
No, see, I really have to disagree with you on that.
I like Remy.
I like him.
I generally like Remy.
But he's kind of like I'm going to do this voice, and I don't know why. Because I'm something. He's just there to serve moments in the plot. He does nothing.
He's fun. He has a garden.
He has a garden.
He gets the drop on Bond.
Yeah.
He's the one who shoots Bond 3 times and then ultimately basically is responsible for his death.
Well, yeah, because he's
Come
Remy.
on.
It's like,
Come on. He's just because he's flavour of the, and he was clearly supposed to be Doctor No.
I loved the
originally.
child
Yeah, why did they change that?
They shat the bed at the last minute and were like, they're on to us. It's like, we were on to you ages ago.
We're always on to you. Why don't you use it in your marketing? Why don't you just tell us? Why don't you just be up front? It's Doctor No.
Yeah, he's wearing a no mask.
Yeah.
So the start of that mask he's wearing is called a no mask.
Yep.
It's like he's referred to at one point randomly now in the edit as Doctor. And there's all the Ken Adams lighting and set and everything. It's just like, come on.
Yeah, Ken Adams, and doesn't he get shot in the heart, but where his heart should be.
But in the book, he had
Doctor No, his heart's the other side. Yeah.
It's like, come on, guys.
Yeah.
So it's
that. So they
So
and it's like it doesn't have to be revealed. Why don't you just tell it? Why don't you say?
I know.
He's Doctor No.
It's fine.
Why not? Why? And then when you get discovered, go, we can't do that. It's like, what is this game of cat and mouse they keep playing with the audience? I don't get it. This J.J. Abrams bullshit.
It's generally for people like me that had never seen any of the others.
It's very much
so I don't know better.
So that everyone can go, ooh, and you go, I guess I should be going, ooh, as well, even though you don't know why.
No, as I said, the memorable things for me within that film was the child. I thought was great. I thought she was such a little cutie. Brilliant casting on there. I thought she was great. I hated the fact that he just gave up and was like, "Okay, it's my time."
Well, let's.
I can't be doing with that.
Let's go through the film. So, look, for me,
it's the last one, Richard. It's the last.
It's the last one. Sorry, mate. The thing for me is, it's like you're.
Should we do Trek tomorrow?
No, we're doing Trek today. I love Trek.
So for me, it's a film. It's a plot in search of an ending. So, it's literally writing to that conclusion.
No, it is totally.
So therefore, everything else is in service of it. You start off because him and Madeline ran off into the sunset together. Therefore, we have to contrive a way for them to not be together.
Yeah.
You have to then go on these and there's a lot of contrivances. The best bit for me is Bond in retirement in Jamaica and kind of doing his thing, and loved all that.
He's Jamaican me crazy.
Hey.
Welcome to my life.
It's not it ultimately is really unfulfilling as a film because of the way it ends. I think that ending.
But I liked
it.
Remy's garden. That was great. That was
nice. Remy's got
the raked gravel,
the raked gravel,
and a plant,
very Buddha.
a house plant.
Well, and when they go down into I forget what it is they're doing now. They're cultivating the nanobot or whatever, and they're all in hazmat suits, and it's kind of reminiscent of Doctor No, and it's
but it's an amalgam. So the Poison Garden is from the novel of You Only Live Twice,
right?
And it's Blofeld and Irma Bunt's garden. It's Emma Bunt, and it's where Bond kills Blofeld, so he strangles him to death in his poison garden.
Right.
And that's where he says the line "Die, Blofeld, die," and they tried to get that in, that's what. But it feels so hackneyed because it's like die, Blofeld, die. And it's like,
Blofeld.
You wouldn't call him Blofeld. The Blofeld. It's like you wouldn't. Why are you calling him Blofeld? You knew him as fucking Franz Oberhauser growing up. It's like if you grew up with a brother and then he went, my name is Jeff Pissface. You wouldn't call him that for the, you know what I mean?
Ian Fleming. He knew I was a Damon, didn't he?
But there we are. But it's one of those films. Again, I think it's a good looking film. I think it's very long. I like. There's lots.
They spent a lot of money on it.
Yeah, I mean, I like Ana de Armas's bit. It's fine. I really like Nomi. Lashana Lynch.
Yep.
That was the big controversy about it. It's like the whole thing of her being 007 makes perfect sense, and the relationship is reciprocal. It's not like one-sided. It's either people want to, it's like she learns from him, he learns from her.
The question is, did they do reshoots on that though?
I have no idea.
The
finished product, I think, works.
I don't know. Like, so for me, I'm a stickler for characters. Like, if they're written a certain way, I want them portrayed that way. I don't care if it's fiction or not. Like, so for James Bond, I want him to be British. I want him to be.
Well, yeah, no, that's not the James Bond is not 007 is. If he retires, if he retires, somebody else will be 007.
No, I know, but it shouldn't be like. So if you're a firefighter, for example, your badge is retired when it goes with you. You don't, like, so 007 to me should just be like.
I don't get it. So the film does this thing of playing up the number as being sort of legendary number, and it's like that's sort of fourth wall breaking because you're kind of like, well, it is outside of the film.
Yeah.
Because she's like, you probably thought they'd retire it, but it's mine now. And then it's like they're arguing over who gets to be 007. And it's like, why?
Yeah.
Was, but
But there's too much attitude there as well. Like, so as a female within the industry, I do not feel like you have to be like, I feel like women are just sort of written very strongly these days, and you don't have to. There's something about
they tell you they're strong,
but there's something about a vulnerability. Like if I were to reshoot that scene with him, I would hopefully give her like she would respect him enough not to be this sort of like tatty, whatever you want to call it. I would want there to be respect for him.
Well, he should be a legend. He should be a legend.
He is a legend. Yeah. And I wish he would have respected that, and I didn't get that.
But I think my point is she learns to do it over time. It's not, she comes in as this kind of like, I'm going to tear the place up because I'm new and exciting, and I'm 007 now, screw you. That's her attitude, is like when she first meets him, it's like, I'm smarter than you, I'm better than you, I'm younger than you.
But it just instantly made me dislike her.
Yeah, but you're supposed to. But then over time, he starts to show her that actually you don't know everything, and actually I am not what you think I am. Yeah. And that's why ultimately when he's like, my daughter and wife, or my daughter and whatever, our baby mama, are in trouble, I need your help, and I'm like, and I'm vulnerable, like that's when she goes, you should be 007. I don't like that. Doesn't feel that earned when she's like, give him the number back. It's like, you shouldn't have done that.
It's a little bit,
ever have been James Bond again. But anyway, I've been 007. He should be James Bond. But no, I do. There's a lot to like in it, but I just think it ultimately gets to a place of.
I think I think the conundrum of the number and all that stuff is an interesting concept, and I don't think they handle it that well. I think I think it all feels a little bit contrived, a little bit on the nose, a little bit. Oh, let's set her up to be. I'm new. And it's not. It's just kind of by the numbers way of doing that, and kind of not very well executed.
But also,
I think.
You think like these are like secret agents of the crazy British government, right? They had to earn their spot to get there. So for me to believe that there would be
there should be a level of professionalism already engraved in them. And
that's Britishness. Like, I love British people because they are so like British. They're
so British.
I think you're so British.
Things like, obviously this is an offshoot as well of like Inspector. They wanted to make M the bad guy, and Ralph Fiennes fought back against it. And I think this is a compromise on that because M kind of is the bad guy. Like he sanctioned the making of this thing.
Yeah,
it gets a bit sort of tangled in its own nonsense at times. I think it's a good looking film. I think you can isolate sequences and say they're really good.
Yeah,
I like
absolutely.
I did like the acting, and I did.
Everyone's doing. Everyone's pulling their weight. Everyone's doing their job.
Great. I just think
it's a well-made film in many respects.
It was the writing. It was more the
and
writing.
that's the watch. So show it to the
And
camera.
the
All right. Well, I mean,
I told you I was good, but I wasn't.
I feel like I'm on Gemporia or one of those like Gem TV shows that are like, this is a 14 karat.
QVC. Yeah. Make your
So
donations.
quite
Now.
I like the I really like the band.
Or it could be a
It's
cover
titanium,
for drug
Titanium.
pricing and drug dealing in.
Money laundering.
Yeah.
What was the watch that was take a licking and keep on ticking?
Well, no, I think that was
That
famously.
was a thing,
I
wasn't
think
it?
Timex used to advertise.
Timex.
But yeah, that's a sort of just a general phrase.
Anyways,
But yeah.
going back to that one,
but-
I thought it was big. It was very big. I like the characters. I just thought that I wish there was a bit more thought into how they acted. And that's not really the actor's fault. That's the writing or the direction they're given.
Mm-hmm.
But I just really was so disappointed with the ending.
Well, let's look. We need to wrap this up because it's been going on a long time.
Yeah.
Let's wrap up. Final thing. Should James Bond have died at the end?
No.
Right.
But I think they could resurrect it. Think
They
about
will.
it.
I mean, they will.
Think
Yeah.
about it.
No.
If they just have him in a what was
Oh
that
no!
one?
I think the next
agree on it.
I think the next movie should be a semi remake of You Only Live Twice.
Yeah.
And you have him. You have him having
be-
already done the fake death.
Yeah.
And then people in their own minds, in their own canon, can think, maybe he didn't die then, or they can think it's something completely different, because that's what Bond is for me. You put the pieces together
Put
yourself.
the imagination back into the project, and cut the budget. You don't need it.
My thing with that is, it's very hard to get invested in James Bond dying when at the end of the credits, after that's happened, it says James Bond will return.
Yeah.
Also,
Because
keep
you're
him
effectively
British.
saying there's no stakes in him dying at all.
Yeah.
You know he's going to come back. Yeah, it's going to be, and everyone goes, but it'll be someone else. It's like, I know that.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that's why to me
It's always the
fundamentally
same.
killing him was wrong, because I'm
I
like
don't have anything
I'm like
invested in
you're
it.
just
And also,
yeah
You're
you
going to
just-
look to do that again. How's
Yeah.
the next one going to go out?
Which
Yeah.
island does he
Yeah.
always end up when he gets blown up? He's always
What?
floating to some island, didn't he? Where'd he go?
What?
Jamaica?
well he always
He always
ends up in some little
island.
beach little
Yeah.
beach hut somewhere. Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
But-
But I think it doesn't work. It's very
No.
hard to do that. I think you could do it more in the way like the novel From Russia with Love ends, where it's like it's him passing out and then you don't know what happened.
Mm.
But the idea that he's literally blown up by a series of missiles hitting him in the face. It's like it's a bit.
I think taking it back would work a lot. People love nostalgia, and
Do a
period.
just set it in the
really
60s.
going
Problem with
back-
that
yeah,
is,
go back to the
like I've said,
60s.
like a lot of people have said that, but the problem is endorsements wouldn't work. You can't. Sony Ericsson can't advertise in the '60s period Bond film. You can't advertise.
Then you don't do it. Then you don't make
can't.
the
Put a
movie.
Kellogg cereal box in there. Or something. they're
Yeah,
still
well,
going.
They've got existing deals like Omega and all those people can't
Yeah.
advertise.
It could be an alternate
Product.
60s where there are Sony. You can have
Multi-
Sony.
Multi-universe, the Bonds.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah,
Jetsons
it's
and shit,
that's
that's-
the thing. But
Yeah.
but all in all, you've watched all the Bond movies from except for one,
I have.
all from start to finish over the course of a few months.
Mhm.
Watched them all. How what's your impressions? What's your sort of takeaway of the whole thing?
My takeaway is it's worth watching, definitely, especially if you've never invested the time in the Bonds or you've maybe started later down the line. I would definitely say, I would definitely say that it's worth going from the beginning to the end. And just making your own mind up. Like for me, the simplicity of the storylines, the really hot Bond girls, keep it simple. Keep it simple. Have Bond British, I would hate to see him American or Canadian or whatever you want to do.
No,
but like keep on
Belgian.
British. Jeez,
well, James Brolin
was going to do it. Yeah,
I just like keep him authentic to who
Sam
he
Neill
is
was up for it as well.
Yes, it's true. Yeah.
A lot of Americans have been, but actually some of them have turned it down because they're like, no, he should
Cary
be
Grant.
British. Keep it British. You know, keep it
That's
British.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
what we're talking about.
yeah, I would definitely say
Yeah.
that it's definitely worth a watch from the beginning to the end. Make your own mind up about it. Invest some time in it. Really listen to the music scores as well, which are brilliant. And I don't regret watching it. Would I watch it again? I would do what you do, where you pick the more fun ones out.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Everyone just
It's
but
one for every moment.
I don't
would you?
think I would sit there again and watch.
Yeah, but would you say watching the whole thing? Would you say it was interesting to watch it? Just when you think it's gonna lose its lust, it reinvents itself and punches it, gets itself back in the game.
I mean, it's interesting to see how they keep developing the story, but again, for me, it's the simplicity that I fell in love with. When, as a Canadian, when we think of British people, you're either extremely Cockney or you've got like a monocle and you're part of the Queen's team. So,
Well, we are one or the other.
Yeah.
Queen's dead, you mon.
She's alive in my heart.
The kings.
She will always be my monarch.
King, darling.
The king. We have a king now.
King, he's all right, mate. But no, it was very.
Have a banana.
It
Up, Mother Brown.
it was definitely interesting to see the timelines, to see what each character brought to the story, how each James Bond became that James Bond. So yeah, it was interesting, but I do prefer the earlier versions, definitely. I think it's too big.
Roger Moore is your favourite.
Oh, Roger.
Live and Let Die is your favourite movie.
Live and Let Die.
Fair.
Yeah, 100%.
I think that's valid.
And
very valid.
It's all valid.
Yeah.
I think that's the beauty of it. Anyone.
And
can
I think
it.
I think what's
but I think it's valid. So
what's so
That's-
lovely
yeah.
about
that's
it.
the only valid that
She's not
matters.
going to tell.
What's so lovely about it?
That's good.
It is British, and I
Yeah.
like that. Because there's so much coming from America and other places, and this is something that you guys have, and I like that.
Well, then it kicked off the action film in a lot of
Yeah.
ways,
Yeah.
And like your stunt
Well,
people were
yeah.
like
No.
hard.
Well, the earlier ones, as I say, they broke new ground all the time as cinematic achievements. They did.
I just want to say one quick thing.
Okay.
I want to say this lovely guy here is Barney. Barney.
I've been randomly cutting.
He's been cutting. He's
I've established
sleeping.
Barney.
Barney's like, hi, this is Barney the Wonder Dog. He'll be in the next James Bond 2026.
He's as old as Dr. No.
Yeah.
He is Cassim. Oh no, look, he looks sad now. He's
Well.
like, why am I being filmed when I'm sleeping?
On that bombshell, because this is now a 3-hour
It
video.
is actually 3.5
Oops.
hours.
We ought to wrap up.
Two
We
and
ought
a
to-
half.
bloody
There
hell,
we
ought to
go.
wrap up. Thank you everyone for watching. That's been a very, very sort of in-depth look at, I think, every Bond film.
Every single Bond movie.
That's
Did-
it. We don't have to talk about James Bond anymore. Thank you all.
We've talked about James Bond once in 5 years, and now you've just done every Bond.
We've just done all of them.
Done.
So that's
It's
it.
like a constipated Duncan.
And we came to literally
Surprise.
no conclusions.
Not really. No,
just-
because I think it's for everyone.
just
I
like-
I do
genuinely
think it's for everybody. I
Yeah.
don't think it
There's
singles
no wrong
out.
answer with Bond. So.
And I think,
Yeah.
actually, I think it stands its time as well. I
And
think,
Moonraker's great.
I think
Yeah.
that it's always been very diverse. So
Mhm.
I think it stands the test of time.
There you go. You heard it here. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for watching. Do please like and subscribe and comment down below. Give us your rankings. Tell us how you feel about James
Yeah,
Bond.
and don't-
Richard,
Not
Kids
on
had
my
enough.
stupidity.
is coming on screen.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers.
I've had 5 beers since this started. So
Uh-oh.
I'm dying for a piss. You have no idea. My kidneys are backing up. Yeah, Skyfall's one of my favourites.
Is it
Yeah,
really?
because I don't know what I'm talking about. But like, it is one of my
Skyfall's
favourites.
fantastic.
Roger Deakins.
The
No.
Deeks.
The Deeks.
No, the
GoldenEye, I
Deeks,
love.
yeah.
We talked about GoldenEye.
Love GoldenEye.
Tomorrow Never Dies.
Tomorrow Never Dies. I've often, I've extolled the virtues.
Are
of
we
that.
keeping this in? I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Who knows?
It's a bumper video.
Yeah.
We love you all. Duncan, you should sign off. I've just rated your video for a
No, I
while.
appreciate it. It's lovely to. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Thank you, Brad. Thank you, Megan, who's disappeared off.
Thank you, Barney the
Barney.
dog.
For
Barney
I
the one
assume
dog.
shit. So we thank you
Hers
all.
are like depth charges.
Yeah.
Brad once described them as
We-
Leviathan.
Yeah. We have to leave the house now.
Shit, a nurse is coming to administer an epidural. That's
It's like someone dropping a stone tablet down a well.
like
And we will see you all very soon for a equally long discussion, I've no doubt, on Star Trek. Thank you and goodbye.